Friends, I am Sunayan Sharma. Every day you might be coming across news in the newspapers through other medias about the conflict between wild animals and the human being. In fact, we perceive that the wild animals should keep themselves confined to the boundaries of the wildlife reserves like sanctuaries and national parks. And of course, we also perceive that the human being settled on the periphery of these reserves, they keep their activities confined to their villages. But in practice, it does not happen so, as the wild animals, they don't observe any political boundary or administrative boundary. Instead, they observe only ecological boundary. So, when they need a better feed, they are looking for water, especially during the summer period. They venture into the agriculture fields and cause substantial damage to the crops of the poor farmers. And this becomes the chief reason of conflict between these animal and the human being. The wild boars, as you are seeing in the picture, with several piglets, they are a potent danger to the crops, various kinds of crops, and especially in the central and the northern India, they are really known as the pest, and that is why a real enemy to the farmers. Well, here is the picture where elephant is entering the forest officer's office. Well, this is a very rare scene. Generally, you expect the human being, the farmers, the villagers, with their complaints reaching to the forest officials against the wild animals. Now, in this case, as you are seeing clearly, elephant has perhaps some complaint against these villagers, and so trying to lodge the complaint with the forest officials. Well, as I had been mentioning about the crop raiding and causing conflict between the human being and the wild animals, the crops being raided by the herbivores, but it is not only confined to the herbivores, the problem is much larger. The carnivores also, several times like leopards, bear, tiger, lion, they also venture into the agriculture areas, especially on the fringes of the reserves, and they indulge into the cattle lifting. Several times they are killed by the villagers also. And as you are seeing in this slide, a leopard has fallen into the well of a village. Perhaps it was chasing some domestic cattle. So, well, this also has become a very serious cause of conflict between the wild animals and the villagers. Well, as you are seeing here in this slide, the villagers of Pilibhit, they killed a tiger in June 2020. Well, it is not the sole case which happens here in our country. Every now and then, the tigers, leopards, and several other carnivores get killed by the villagers because the animals, they have a tendency to lift the cattle when they venture into the revenue areas. If you look back in 2004, Sariska got totally wiped off the tiger population. Of course, luckily, it has now come up again because some project was taken there. But before that, it was all totally finished. Because of this thing, largely, it was the villagers who were responsible for poisoning the animals and even killing them, even by employing the real professional poachers to kill the tigers. So, what is needed is to come with a comprehensive plan to avoid such kind of problems. Well, you see, the conflict between man and wild animal is to be resolved if we really want both of these to survive together, as in every democratic setup you will like to have things in order. Animals should not be preserved at the cost of the human being, and at the same time human beings should not be allowed to enjoy at the cost of the animals by finishing our animals, jungles. That too cannot be permitted. So, well, I understand the buffer zone, which is generally provided in every sanctuary around the national parks also. So, well, the buffer zone is meant for this purpose only. It is a multiple use area. The animals are not supposed to go beyond the buffer zone, and the human being is not supposed to venture into the core areas. If this buffer zone management is done intelligently, to a great extent it can reduce this conflict. Secondly, the agriculture crops, they should be guarded by using the low voltage electrical fencings, which are quite popular in several areas. Thirdly, we should try to learn about as to how we can raise other crops instead of the traditional crops. The crops should be such so that the wild animals of that particular area, they are not attracted to these. In Sri Lanka, they have come out with a great experiment, and now they are growing the orange orchards instead of the rice fields, because the elephants, they don't like the citrus fruits, and even the smell also distracts them. Through this project, which is called Project Orange Elephant, they have saved several thousand hectares of agriculture crops. People are pretty happy now with who used to be otherwise killed by elephants. And you may not believe, every year around 280 odd number of elephants used to be killed by the agri villagers. So this conflict resolution is very important. We have to find out ways and means in these lines. Thank you.